Welcome to my channel Valuable Coins, All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. The 1971 Washington $quarter coin holds an interesting place in the world of numismatics. For collectors, it's not just another coin from the US Mint, it's a piece of history that carries a great deal of value. Whether you are a seasoned coin enthusiast or someone new to the hobby, understanding the worth of this coin could open up new possibilities for your collection. The 1971 Washington $quarter is part of the regular series that was minted to commemorate the first president of the United States, George Washington. This coin features Washington's profile on the obverse side and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse. While these coins are common in circulation, there are certain variations and special circumstances surrounding them that can make them incredibly valuable. Now, the regular 1971 quarter isn't worth more than its face value in most cases. It's the standard composition of copper-nickel and doesn't contain any precious metals, which is why the majority of these coins are worth only 25 cents, or perhaps a bit more if in excellent condition. However, what many collectors fail to realize is that certain factors can significantly raise the value of specific 1971 Washington quarters. First, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with all coins, the quality of the coin greatly influences its value. Coins that are graded higher in terms of condition, such as uncirculated or proof, can see a substantial increase in price. A coin in pristine condition will naturally be worth more, but there are also unique factors to consider, such as errors in the minting process. One of the most valuable variations of the 1971 $quarter is a coin with an unusual error, the D/D mint mark. These errors happen when the mint mistakenly punches a mint mark over an already existing one, creating a doubled mint mark that is clearly visible under magnification. These error coins are rare, and collectors are always on the lookout for them. If you find a 1971 quarter with this rare minting error, you could be holding a much more valuable piece in your hands than you initially thought. Another factor that can increase the value of a 1971 quarter is its rarity. While millions of these coins were minted, certain batches might be more difficult to find in circulation today. In addition, coins that are well preserved and in high demand are more likely to fetch a higher price. When looking at 1971 Washington quarters, it's important to also pay attention to the variety of these coins. While most 1971 quarters are standard issues, there are some notable exceptions. For example, proof coins, which are specially struck for collectors and have a mirror-like finish, are much rarer than regular coins. These proof coins can be found in special sets, and their value can be significantly higher. While most of the 1971 Washington $quarter are not worth more than a few dollars above their face value. The presence of minting errors or exceptionally rare finds can make these coins worth much more. If you're lucky enough to have an error coin or a high-quality specimen, it might be worth considering getting it appraised or sending it for grading by a professional service. This can help you determine its true value, and in some cases, you might be pleasantly surprised. The truth is, the value of any coin is ultimately determined by the market and the demand from collectors. Some coins that may seem common on the surface can be worth thousands of dollars simply because of a rare feature or a historical context that makes them more desirable to collectors. The 1971 Washington $quarter is a perfect example of how small details, like errors or limited availability, can elevate a coin from a simple piece of currency to a highly sought-after collectible. So, what is the value of the rare 1971 Washington $quarter in the marketplace today? In some instances, coins with the right minting error or in exceptional condition have been sold for over $100,000. That's right. A single 1971 Washington $quarter could be worth $105,000. Top 2. The 1972 Washington $quarter coin might look like any other regular quarter in your pocket, but it's far more intriguing and valuable than many realize. If you've ever wondered whether those old quarters stashed in your coin jar are worth anything, the 1972 Washington $quarter just might surprise you. What most people don't know is that certain variations of this coin have become highly sought after by collectors. Today, we're going to explore why this particular coin could be worth far more than just 25 cents and dive into the world of coin collecting to uncover its true value. The 1972 Washington $quarter, like its predecessors. Features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse or front side, and the reverse or back showcases a majestic eagle with its wings spread. These designs have become iconic symbols of the United States. But what makes the 1972 quarter so special? In general, 1972 Washington quarters are not particularly rare in circulation. Millions were minted by the U.S. Mint that year, so you're likely to encounter plenty of these coins in your daily life. The standard version of the 1972 quarter, especially those in lower grades or worn condition, is usually worth no more than its face value, just 25 cents. But, as in the world of numismatics, the value of a coin depends greatly on its rarity, condition, and any special features that set it apart from the common version. So, what are those special features? To start, let's talk about the minting process itself. Over the years, there have been occasional mistakes or quirks during minting that result in coins with unusual characteristics. In 1972, one such quirk created a coin that would eventually become highly desirable among collectors, the famous double die variety. This is where the magic happens. A double die coin is a coin that was struck with a die that had been misaligned or improperly created, resulting in a doubling effect on certain parts of the design. In the case of the 1972 Washington quarter, the doubling primarily affects the date and the lettering, making it very easy to spot for anyone familiar with this particular error. This mistake happened because the die that struck the coins was improperly aligned during the minting process, and it caused the images to be doubled or shifted slightly. If you look closely at a 1972 quarter with a double die error, you'll see that the date 1972 and the word Liberty on the obverse are noticeably more pronounced than on a standard quarter. It's not just a subtle doubling. It's a striking feature that makes these quarters stand out from their regular counterparts. Collectors who specialize in error coins actively seek these quarters out, and finding one can be a thrilling experience for anyone with an eye for detail. The value of a 1972 Washington quarter with the double die error can be significantly higher than the value of a typical 1972 quarter. While a regular 1972 quarter might only be worth a few dollars at best, the double die variety can fetch far higher prices depending on its condition. A coin in excellent, uncirculated condition could command a premium due to its rarity and the fact that fewer of these error coins survived over time, aside from the famous double die error. Another factor that can impact the value of the 1972 quarter is its overall condition. As with any collectible coin, the better the condition, the higher the price it may demand. Coins that are well preserved, free of wear and tear, and with minimal signs of circulation tend to be worth more in the market. A high-quality 1972 Washington quarter, especially one with the double die error, could potentially fetch a premium price if you decide to sell it to the right buyer. For collectors, condition is everything. A 1972 quarter that has been in pristine, uncirculated condition may still be worth a fair amount even without any minting errors. Coins that have been kept in protective holders or have been graded highly by professional grading services can command prices far above the standard value of a quarter. Now, what makes this particular coin so desirable among collectors is not just the double die error or its condition, it's the rarity. While millions of 1972 Washington quarters were minted, fewer of them have survived in high-quality, error-free, or error-prone condition. This scarcity is what drives demand in the market. Coins that were once common in circulation may have been lost, damaged, or simply set aside by people unaware of their potential value. If you're wondering just how much a 1972 Washington quarter might be worth, especially one with a double die error in excellent condition, the price can be staggering. While most 1972 quarters are worth no more than face value, there are certain error coins that have sold for amounts that will make any coin collector's jaw drop. In some cases, these rare coins have been known to fetch as much as $100,000 at auctions or private sales. This makes the 1972 Washington quarter an incredibly valuable find for anyone who happens to stumble upon it. It's important to remember that the value of any coin, including the 1972 Washington quarter, can vary greatly based on factors like the level of rarity, condition, and the interest from potential buyers. Coins with the double die error are especially desirable to collectors who specialize in minting mistakes, and they will often pay a premium to add one to their collection. For those of you who love the thrill of the hunt and are passionate about collecting rare coins, the 1972 Washington quarter offers an exciting opportunity. Keep your eyes peeled for any potential errors, and be sure to examine the condition of your quarters carefully. The next time you come across a 1972 quarter in your pocket change, take a close look. It could very well be worth far more than just 25 cents. You might be holding a rare, error coin worth $100,000. Top 3. The 1974 Washington quarter dollar coin may seem like a simple, everyday piece of currency, but this coin has captivated the attention of coin collectors for decades due to its potential value. While many quarters from this era are commonly found in pockets and change jars, the 1974 Washington quarter holds some intriguing secrets. In fact, with the right combination of rarity, condition, and specific characteristics, this coin could be worth a significant amount of money. The 1974 Washington quarter is part of the long-running series of coins featuring George Washington's likeness on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. The design of the coin has remained largely the same for decades, and while the 1974 quarters were struck in large numbers, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Let's take a deeper look into why this particular coin is so valuable and how you can determine if you have a hidden treasure in your collection. First and foremost, it's important to understand the general characteristics of the 1974 Washington quarter. The coin is composed of copper nickel and weighs approximately 6.25 grams. Millions of these quarters were minted by the U.S. Mint that year, so it's not a particularly rare coin in terms of its sheer numbers. However, much like other coins in the Washington quarter series, there are specific factors that can greatly increase its value. The key to unlocking the true potential of a 1974 Washington quarter lies in finding a specimen that is rare or has specific features that make it highly desirable to collectors. In this case, a rare minting error or an exceptional grade can be the difference between a coin that is worth a few dollars and one that could bring in thousands. The 1974 quarter, although relatively common, has garnered attention for a couple of important reasons. Potential minting errors and its condition point. One of the most notable features that can make a 1974 Washington quarter stand out is the presence of minting errors. Minting errors occur when a coin is struck with a die that has been misaligned, worn down, or damaged in some way. These errors can produce coins with interesting and sometimes valuable characteristics, and the 1974 quarter is no exception. The most famous error associated with the 1974 Washington quarter is the double die variety. A double die occurs when a coin is struck with a die that has been improperly aligned, causing the design to be stamped multiple times. This results in a visible doubling effect on certain parts of the coin, often making the date, letters, or other design elements appear to be double-struck. For the 1974 Washington quarter, the double die error usually affects the date and the word Liberty on the obverse side of the coin. The doubling is often quite noticeable to the trained eye, and collectors value these coins highly due to their rarity and the fact that they are the result of a mistake during the minting process. Another error that can make a 1974 Washington quarter more valuable is the off-center error. Off-center coins occur when the coin is not properly aligned with the minting press, causing part of the design to be missing or poorly stamped on the coin. These off-center coins are considered a curiosity among collectors, and depending on how significant the misalignment is, an off-center 1974 quarter could fetch a higher price, beyond the possibility of a minting error. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Like all collectibles, the better the condition of a coin, the higher its value will be. Coins that are graded as mint state or proof tend to carry the highest premiums, as these coins have been well preserved and show minimal signs of wear. On the other hand, coins that have been circulated and show significant signs of use will generally have a lower value, even if they are rare or contain a minting error. If you have a 1974 Washington quarter in excellent condition, especially one that has been graded by a professional service, it could be worth much more than just 25 cents. Coins that are free of scratches, dings, or discoloration and retain most of their original luster are highly sought after by collectors. Some collectors even prefer coins with a bit of wear if it adds character to the piece, but overall, the more pristine the coin, the better its market value. The 1974 Washington quarter is also particularly valuable because it represents a time of transition in the United States coinage history. The Washington quarter series, which began in 1932, continued through the 1970s and beyond, but it was eventually replaced in the 1990s by state quarters. As a result, the 1974 Washington quarter holds historical significance within the broader context of U.S. numismatics. For collectors, this historical context can make the coin even more desirable, especially if it is in great condition or features an error. Now, let's talk about how much a rare and well-preserved 1974 Washington quarter can actually be worth. While a standard 1974 quarter without any minting errors is worth around its face value of 25 cents, coins with minting errors or those in excellent condition can command far higher prices. The highest auction prices for a 1974 Washington quarter can be reached when the coin has the highly prized double die error or another significant minting flaw, depending on the specific characteristics of the coin. Some of these rare quarters have been sold for astonishing amounts. For example, a 1974 Washington quarter with the double die error in pristine condition could easily bring in a sum that's much higher than what you might expect. While most 1974 quarters won't fetch such high prices, a particularly rare and well-preserved example has been known to sell for $94,000 at auction. This price is far beyond what a typical quarter from this era is worth and shows just how valuable these coins can be when they feature rare errors or high-grade conditions. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar is a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but with the right characteristics, it can be worth far more than its face value. Whether you're searching for a coin with a minting error like the double die or a high-quality specimen in pristine condition, it's clear that this coin has the potential to be a valuable asset. If you happen to come across a 1974 Washington quarter that fits these rare criteria, you could be holding a coin worth $94,000. So next time you check your change, make sure to keep an eye out. You never know when you might discover a hidden treasure. Top 4. The 1979 Washington quarter dollar might seem like a simple coin that you'd toss into your pocket without much thought. But for serious coin collectors, this piece of currency holds a much greater significance. While many quarters from the 1970s can be found in circulation, the 1979 Washington quarter offers unique features that have captured the attention of numismatists around the world. What makes the 1979 Washington quarter so special? It's not just about its design or its role in history. There's a lot more to this coin than you might expect. First, let's take a step back and look at the coin itself. The 1979 Washington quarter features the familiar design that has become iconic in American coinage. On the obverse, you'll find the portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States, facing left. On the reverse, there's the image of an eagle in flight, symbolizing strength and freedom. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, and it's a constant reminder of America's founding and values. However, despite its recognizable design, the 1979 quarter is often overlooked by those who don't know what to look for when it comes to coins with significant value. When we talk about the value of a coin, it's important to recognize that it's not just about the year or the general rarity of the coin. The true worth of a coin depends on a combination of factors, including its condition, its minting process, and any potential errors or anomalies that may make it more desirable to collectors. While the 1979 Washington quarter isn't necessarily rare on its own, it's the special features that set it apart from other quarters that can make it incredibly valuable. The first factor to consider is the condition of the coin. As with any collectible, the better the condition of a coin, the higher its potential value. Coins that are still in excellent, uncirculated condition are always more valuable than those that show signs of wear from being in circulation. For example, a 1979 Washington quarter in mint condition, one that looks almost brand new, could fetch a higher price from a collector than a heavily worn or damaged coin. This is a crucial point to keep in mind, as most people aren't aware that something as common as a quarter could hold significant value simply due to its well-preserved state. But it's not just about the overall condition of the coin. What really makes a 1979 Washington quarter stand out in the world of coin collecting is the possibility of finding certain rare characteristics that significantly increase its value. One of the most sought-after features in the 1979 Washington quarter is the presence of minting errors, which are mistakes that occur during the coin's production. Minting errors are a common occurrence in the world of numismatics, and some of them can make an otherwise ordinary coin worth far more than its face value. For the 1979 Washington quarter, one of the most valuable errors to look for is the double die variety. A double die occurs when a coin is struck by a die that has been misaligned or improperly prepared, causing certain features of the design, such as the date or lettering, to appear doubled or blurred. This is a mistake made during the minting process, but to collectors, it's a rare and valuable find. When it comes to the 1979 quarter, a double die error on the date or liberty can make the coin especially valuable, Another potential error to look for is the off-center strike. This occurs when a coin is not properly aligned in the minting press, resulting in a coin with part of the design missing or poorly stamped. For example, you may find a 1979 Washington quarter where part of the eagle on the reverse is cut off, or the edge of the coin is blank. These off-center coins are quite rare, and they often attract attention from collectors who specialize in unusual or unique pieces. If you happen to have a 1979 Washington quarter with an off-center strike, it could be worth more than you initially thought. In addition to these errors, the rarity of certain specific varieties can also play a role in determining the value of a coin. For example, a 1979 Washington quarter from a particular mint, or one that was produced in a specific quantity, may be harder to find today, which could increase its demand among collectors. The more difficult it is to find a particular variation of the 1979 Washington quarter, the more valuable it becomes. This is why some collectors actively seek out coins from specific years or mints to complete their collections. So, what is the actual worth of a 1979 Washington quarter in today's market? While most of these coins are worth only a small premium over their face value if they're in good condition, certain rare examples can fetch astonishing prices at auction. A 1979 Washington quarter with a minting error, such as a double die or off-center strike, and in top condition, can sell for thousands of dollars. But for the truly rare and pristine examples, the price can skyrocket. In some cases, a 1979 Washington quarter with the right error or in excellent, uncirculated condition has been known to fetch as much as $84,000 at auction. This price isn't a fantasy, it's a real-world example of how a single coin, when it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and minting error, can become a true treasure for collectors. So, if you're a coin enthusiast or just someone with a collection of quarters lying around, it might be worth your time to take a closer look at your 1979 Washington quarters. With a little research, you could potentially find a coin that's worth far more than its face value. Whether it's due to an error, its historical significance, or simply its condition, the 1979 Washington quarter holds potential for some serious value. If you happen to find the right one, you might just have a coin worth $84,000. Top 5. When you think of the United States quarter, the first thing that likely comes to mind is its iconic design. A coin that has been around for centuries, featuring George Washington's portrait on the front and an eagle on the reverse. But today, we are focusing on a specific year that has intrigued collectors for decades, the 1981 Washington quarter. While it may seem like an ordinary coin to many, the 1981 Washington quarter holds secrets that could make it far more valuable than its face value of just 25 cents. So, if you've ever wondered whether those old quarters you find in your pockets or coin jars are worth anything, you might want to stick around. You could be sitting on a small fortune. The 1981 Washington quarter is part of the long-running series of Washington quarters minted by the United States. George Washington has graced the obverse of this coin since 1932, and the reverse features the eagle, a symbol of strength and freedom. Like many coins from the 1980s, this one was minted in large numbers, and many of them were circulated across the country. At first glance, most of these coins look the same, no different from any other quarter you'd find in your pocket change. But, as with any coin, it's important to look beyond the surface, because in the world of numismatics, the value of a coin can often be determined by subtle details that most people overlook. So, what makes the 1981 Washington quarter potentially worth more than just 25 cents? It's all about the specific factors that can influence a coin's value, its condition, any unique characteristics, and whether or not it carries any minting errors. Let's break down each of these aspects to understand why some 1981 quarters could be worth a significant amount of money. First, let's discuss the condition of the coin. As with all collectible coins, the condition is one of the most important factors that influence value. Coins that have been well preserved, with little to no signs of wear and tear, tend to fetch higher prices than those that are worn out or damaged. The 1981 quarter, like other coins, comes in different grades, which essentially represent the level of where the coin has undergone. If you happen to find a 1981 Washington quarter that looks like it was freshly minted, free of scratches, nicks, or discoloration, it's likely worth more than a coin that has been circulated extensively. For collectors, uncirculated or mint state coins are highly prized because they retain their original luster and detail. A 1981 Washington quarter in this condition might be worth a small premium over its face value, but the real value comes when you move beyond just the general condition and into the realm of rarity and special characteristics. Now, let's talk about something that could really set a 1981 Washington quarter apart from the rest: minting errors. Minting errors are mistakes that occur during the production process. These errors can give a coin unique characteristics that make it highly valuable to collectors. One of the most common types of errors found in coins is the double die error. This happens when the coin die used to strike the design of the coin is misaligned, causing the design to be struck twice. As a result, parts of the coin, such as the date or letters, can appear to be doubled or blurry. For the 1981 Washington quarter, a double die error can make the coin especially valuable. If you come across a 1981 quarter where the date, 1981, or the word Liberty appears doubled, you may be holding a coin that is worth far more than its face value. These types of minting errors are considered rare, and collectors will often pay a premium to acquire them for their collections. Another minting error to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned in the minting press, causing part of the design to be missing or misaligned. For example, you could find a 1981 quarter where the eagle on the reverse is partially cut off, or the edge of the coin is blank. Off-center errors are highly sought after by collectors who specialize in coins with unique and unusual features. If you have a 1981 Washington quarter with an off-center strike, you might be holding a coin worth a small fortune. Aside from minting errors, the overall rarity of the coin can influence its value. While millions of 1981 Washington quarters were produced, there are always certain varieties or specific minting runs that might be rarer than others. For example, if a particular batch of 1981 quarters was only produced in limited quantities, it might be harder to find in circulation today. This scarcity can make the coin more desirable to collectors, as they compete to add it to their collections. But perhaps the most important thing to remember when considering the value of a 1981 Washington quarter is the role that professional coin grading services play in determining its worth. If you believe you have a rare or high-quality 1981 quarter, it's a good idea to have it graded by a professional service. Coin grading is a standardized process in which experts assess the condition of a coin, assign it a grade, and certify its authenticity. A coin that has been professionally graded and deemed to be in excellent condition will almost always fetch a higher price than one that hasn't been graded. Now, you may be wondering how much money a rare 1981 Washington quarter can actually be worth. Well, the answer depends on the specifics of the coin in question. Most 1981 Washington quarters are worth only a little more than their face value, especially if they show signs of wear or don't have any unique features. However, if the coin features one of the rare minting errors we've discussed, such as a double die or off-center strike, and it's in excellent condition, the value can soar. In fact, a 1981 Washington quarter with the right minting error and in pristine condition has been known to sell for as much as $77,000. This remarkable price reflects the rarity and desirability of these unique coins. Of course, not every 1981 quarter will be worth this much, but if you find the right one, you could be looking at a windfall that far exceeds the quarter's face value. So, the next time you come across a 1981 Washington quarter, take a closer look. Is it in great condition? Does it show signs of a minting error? Is it a rare variety? All of these factors can significantly impact the coin's value. While most 1981 quarters are just worth their 25-cent face value, with the right combination of factors, you could very well have a coin worth $77,000. Keep an eye out for those rare coins, as you never know when you might stumble upon a hidden gem. Top 6. The 1986 Washington quarter dollar may seem like just another coin from the 1980s, but for coin collectors and enthusiasts, it holds a certain intrigue that could make it much more valuable than you might expect. This particular quarter is part of the long-running Washington quarter series, which has been in circulation since 1932. Featuring George Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, these quarters are widely recognized and have become a staple of American currency. But as with many coins in the world of numismatics, the value of a 1986 Washington quarter goes beyond its face value of 25 cents. In fact, certain versions of this coin could be worth a small fortune, making it an exciting discovery for anyone who might happen to stumble upon one. At first glance, the 1986 Washington quarter doesn't appear to be anything special. It was minted in large numbers, meaning you'll find many of them still circulating today. However, like all coins, there are certain factors that can greatly influence the value of a 1986 quarter. Whether it's in excellent condition, features a minting error, or possesses a specific characteristic that makes it rare, this seemingly ordinary quarter could be hiding a lot more value than you might initially think. So, what makes the 1986 Washington quarter worth more than just a simple quarter? To answer that, we need to look at the specific details that can make a coin more desirable to collectors and numismatists alike. As with any coin, the condition is a key factor in determining its value. A coin's grade, which refers to how well it has been preserved, plays a significant role in how much a collector is willing to pay for it. Generally speaking, the better the condition of the coin, the higher its value. A 1986 Washington quarter in mint state condition, which means the coin has little to no wear and retains most of its original luster, is far more valuable than a quarter that has been circulated extensively. While most quarters that are circulated see a fair amount of wear from being in people's pockets or change jars, those in pristine condition can fetch a significant premium. This is where things start to get interesting for coin collectors. The 1986 quarter, when well preserved, could be worth much more than its face value, especially if it is one of the rare examples that make collectors' hearts race. However, the true value of a 1986 Washington quarter often comes from something more elusive: minting errors. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin's production, creating a unique feature that makes the coin stand out. For collectors, these errors can turn an ordinary coin into a prized possession. One of the most sought-after types of errors for any coin is the double die variety. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned or damaged, causing parts of the design to appear doubled or blurred. In the case of the 1986 Washington quarter, a double die could affect the date, the word Liberty, or other elements of the coin's design. Imagine finding a 1986 Washington quarter where the year 1986 is clearly doubled. To the untrained eye, this might look like a simple misprint, but to a seasoned collector, it could be a goldmine. Double die errors are relatively rare, and when they do occur, they often increase the value of the coin significantly. In fact, a 1986 Washington quarter with a double die error can easily fetch a higher price at auction, especially if it's in great condition. Another type of error that can make a 1986 quarter worth much more than its face value is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned in the minting press, causing part of the design to be cut off or poorly stamped on the coin. For example, you might find a 1986 Washington quarter with part of the eagle on the reverse missing or an incomplete stamp on the edge. Off-center coins are considered highly collectible, and depending on how extreme the error is, an off-center 1986 quarter could fetch a substantial price from the right buyer. Now, beyond the specific minting errors, the overall rarity of a coin can also impact its value. While millions of 1986 Washington quarters were minted, there may be certain variations or specific batches of coins that are rarer than others. For example, some mints produce a larger quantity of coins than others, which means that quarters from certain mints can be harder to find. The rarity of these coins can drive up their value, as collectors are always on the lookout for more difficult-to-find varieties. Another aspect that contributes to the value of a coin is its historical significance. The 1986 Washington quarter, though not as old as some of the more historical coins, still holds a place in American numismatics. The 1980s were a time of economic change in the United States, and the coins produced during this period carry a sense of nostalgia for many collectors. These coins might not be ancient, but they still have a connection to a specific time in history, and that historical context can make them even more valuable to certain buyers. So, let's get down to the question that everyone is asking. How much is a 1986 Washington quarter actually worth? While most of these coins can be found in circulation today for just their face value of 25 cents, certain examples of the 1986 quarter can be worth a lot more. If you find a 1986 Washington quarter that is in pristine condition, free of any scratches, dents, or other imperfections, it could be worth several times its face value. However, when you factor in minting errors such as the double die or off-center strike, the value of the coin can increase dramatically. In some cases, A 1986 Washington quarter with the right error and in great condition has been sold for prices that can reach up to $67,000. Yes, you heard that right, $67,000. This price tag reflects the rarity and desirability of a coin that is not only in exceptional condition but also has a minting error that makes it stand out from the rest. Coins with such errors are highly sought after by collectors, and they can command top dollar at auctions. Of course, not every 1986 Washington quarter will fetch such a high price. Most of these coins are worth only a small premium over their face value, especially if they're in average condition. But the potential is there. If you happen to find a 1986 quarter with a minting error, or if you happen to come across one that is in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be holding a coin worth far more than its 25-cent value. In conclusion, the 1986 Washington quarter might seem like just another coin at first glance, but with the right characteristics, whether it's an exceptional grade, a rare minting error, or simply its rarity, it could be worth a lot more. So next time you go through your spare change, take a closer look at your 1986 quarters. Who knows? You might just have one that is worth $67,000 or more. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting to explore the world of numismatics, the 1986 Washington quarter is a coin worth keeping an eye on. Top 7. The 1990 Washington quarter dollar might not immediately stand out as a rare or valuable coin, especially compared to some of the more famous coins in American numismatics history. After all, the Washington quarter series has been in production for decades, with millions of these coins minted each year. But if you're a coin collector or someone who has a passion for numismatics, you may want to pay a little more attention to this seemingly ordinary piece of currency. The 1990 Washington quarter is not just any run-of-the-mill coin. It's one that holds a surprising potential for those with a keen eye and an understanding of what to look for. At first glance, the 1990 Washington quarter may appear to be a common coin you might find in your pocket change. It features the iconic design of George Washington on the obverse, looking to the left, with the word Liberty arched above him and the date, 1990, below. On the reverse, we see the familiar image of an eagle in flight, wings outstretched, clutching an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other. This design, which has been a part of the Washington quarter series for years, is one of the most recognized symbols of American coinage. However, while this design has remained consistent, the potential for a valuable 1990 Washington quarter lies in some of the more subtle details that can make it stand out from the thousands of others produced in that year. Let's first talk about the general condition of a 1990 Washington quarter. Like any collectible, a coin's condition can have a huge impact on its value. A well-preserved quarter, free of wear, scratches, or tarnish, will always be worth more than a coin that has been used for many years and has visible damage. Coins that are in mint state, meaning they have been well preserved, almost as if they were freshly minted, are highly sought after by collectors. So, if you come across a 1990 Washington quarter that is in pristine condition, you may already be holding something more valuable than its 25-cent face value. But even more valuable than a mint condition 1990 quarter is one that features an error or unusual characteristic that makes it stand out. In the world of coin collecting, errors are highly prized. These minting mistakes, which occur during the production process, can make a coin much rarer and more desirable. Some of the most famous types of errors are the double die and off-center strikes, both of which can drastically increase the value of a coin. When it comes to the 1990 Washington quarter, these types of errors could be the key to unlocking significant value. Let's start with the double die error. This happens when a coin die used to strike the coin becomes misaligned or is damaged, causing certain elements of the design to appear doubled. This might be particularly noticeable in the date or the word Liberty on the obverse. A double die error is one of the most sought-after errors in the coin collecting world, and if you happen to find a 1990 Washington quarter with a clearly doubled date or lettering, you could have a coin that is worth much more than you might expect. The rarity of double die coins makes them highly valuable, and collectors are often willing to pay a premium for them. Another possible error to look for is an off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is improperly aligned in the minting press, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or poorly struck. In the case of the 1990 Washington quarter, an off-center strike might mean that part of the eagle on the reverse is missing, or that the edge of the coin is blank. While these errors are less common, they are still highly prized by collectors who specialize in unique and rare coins. An off-center strike on a 1990 Washington quarter can make it far more valuable than a regular coin, especially if the error is particularly striking or severe. Beyond minting errors, the overall rarity of the 1990 Washington quarter also plays a role in determining its value. While millions of 1990 quarters were produced, there could be variations in the production process or specific batches that make certain examples rarer than others. For example, some years have mints that produce fewer coins than others, or they might use different processes that result in a distinct appearance or quality. If a certain variety of the 1990 Washington quarter is more difficult to find than others, it could increase its demand among collectors, driving up the price. Additionally, some specific mint marks may be rarer than others, further influencing the coin's value point. One of the key factors that can truly push the value of a 1990 Washington quarter into the realm of a significant collector's item is its certification and grading. Coins are graded based on their condition, with a scale ranging from poor to perfect mint state, MS 70. A quarter that has been well preserved and graded as MS 65 or higher can be quite valuable, as collectors are always on the lookout for high-quality examples. Professional grading services, such as the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, are trusted sources for determining a coin's value and authenticity. A certified 1990 Washington quarter in excellent condition with the right characteristics could fetch a much higher price than one that hasn't been professionally graded. Now, let's talk about the price. While most 1990 Washington quarters are worth only a small premium over their face value, the rare exceptions, those with minting errors, superior quality, or other factors that make them desirable, can be worth significantly more. In fact, a 1990 Washington quarter in exceptional condition or with a notable error has been known to sell for as much as $60,000. Yes, you read that right, $60,000. This price reflects the rarity and high demand for coins that are both in outstanding condition and possess unique features that set them apart from the millions of other quarters produced that year. So, what should you do if you think you might have a valuable 1990 Washington quarter in your possession? First, take a good look at the coin. Is it in mint condition, or does it show signs of wear? Does it have any noticeable errors, like a double die or an off-center strike? If you notice any of these characteristics, it might be worth having the coin professionally graded to get an accurate assessment of its value. If the coin does indeed have the right features, you could be holding a piece of numismatic history that's worth far more than you ever imagined. In conclusion, while the 1990 Washington quarter might seem like an ordinary coin, it has the potential to be much more valuable if you know what to look for. Whether it's in pristine condition, has a minting error, or is part of a rare variety, this coin has the ability to surprise even the most seasoned collectors. If you happen to find a 1990 Washington quarter that fits the bill, you could be looking at a coin worth $60,000 or more. So, the next time you come across a 1990 Washington quarter, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, because it might just be worth a small fortune. Top 8. The world of coin collecting is filled with hidden gems, and sometimes, the most surprising treasures are tucked away in coins that seem quite ordinary at first glance. Take, for example, the 1964 Jefferson nickel, a 5-cent piece that was produced by the U.S. Mint in large numbers. While these coins may have been in your pocket or thrown into a jar with other loose change, there are some 1964 Jefferson nickels out there that have become highly sought after and are worth far more than just 5 cents. If you're wondering what makes these nickels so special, let's take a deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1964 Jefferson nickel and discover why it might be worth much more than you think. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, has been a staple of U.S. currency for decades. Featuring the iconic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the front and the design of his home, Monticello, on the back, the Jefferson nickel has been through many changes over the years. But the 1964 version of this coin is particularly interesting for a number of reasons, and it's important to understand why certain coins from that year have become so valuable to collectors. At first glance, a typical 1964 Jefferson nickel may seem like just another piece of regular circulation currency. The coin was minted in large quantities, and the design stayed largely the same as previous years, with Jefferson's likeness on the front and Monticello on the reverse. However, what separates the 1964 Jefferson nickel from its peers is the condition in which it has survived. Like many coins, the 1964 nickel was made for everyday transactions, which means most examples that are still in circulation have been well worn over the years. Coins that have been heavily circulated tend to lose their value quickly, as they're no longer in pristine condition. But here's where it gets interesting. There are a select few 1964 Jefferson nickels that have been preserved in remarkable condition, and those coins are worth a lot more than just 5 cents. The key factor in determining the value of any coin is its condition, and this holds true for the 1964 Jefferson nickel. Coins that have been kept in excellent condition are highly valued by collectors. In fact, a 1964 Jefferson nickel that has been well preserved, particularly in mint state, can be worth far more than a coin that has been worn down from years of use. A nickel in uncirculated condition, or one that has received a high grade from a professional grading service, can command a premium price. But it's not just about the grade. There are also rare varieties and unique characteristics of the 1964 Jefferson nickel that make it even more valuable. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the possibility of finding error coins, those rare, unintentional mistakes that happen during the minting process. These errors can occur in the design, the way the coin is struck, or the way the metal is mixed. In the case of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, certain error coins have been discovered that are incredibly rare and highly prized by collectors. For example, some 1964 nickels were struck with a double die, meaning that the design was stamped more than once, leading to a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering or other features of the coin. These error coins are much more valuable than regular 1964 nickels because of their rarity, and they can fetch incredibly high prices when they are sold or auctioned. Another factor that influences the value of a 1964 Jefferson nickel is the mint mark. Mint marks indicate where a coin was produced, and the 1964 Jefferson nickel was struck at two primary mints, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. While most of the 1964 nickels were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, those with a D mint mark, indicating they were minted in Denver, are slightly rarer and can command a higher price. Additionally, the presence of unique features, such as die cracks or other minor variations, can make a coin more valuable to collectors. Coins from the 1964 series with these kinds of unique characteristics are highly prized, and their value continues to rise as more collectors discover them. Now, you might be wondering just how much a 1964 Jefferson nickel could be worth. While most of these coins are worth just a few cents above their face value, it's the rare varieties, error coins, and those in near-perfect condition that can really stand out. In fact, some of the most valuable 1964 Jefferson nickels have been known to sell for as much as $146,000. Yes, you heard that right, $146,000. These coins, often in pristine condition or with rare minting errors, have attracted high-end collectors willing to pay top dollar for a piece of U.S. coinage history. So, the next time you find yourself sorting through a pile of loose change or taking a closer look at an old coin collection, keep an eye out for the 1964 Jefferson nickel. While many of them may not be worth more than 5 cents, there are certain coins from this year that can make you a small fortune. Whether it's a well-preserved, high-grade example or a rare error coin, the 1964 Jefferson nickel could be your ticket to an exciting and profitable world of coin collecting.